these things start to happen in your life and you're like, how did that even happen? Like almost beyond your wildest dreams. And it's because you're on the right path. It's because you're here for a reason.
Listen to me. Let me tell you a little something about sharks.
That's not how it was planned. What are you doing,
No,
Jeni?
I don't know. I'm going rogue. I don't think that one's gonna make it. I don't think that intro is good. I don't like it.
No, I
Didn't
don't
feel
think
natural.
it felt weird.
Felt real weird.
Yeah.
I felt weird saying it. Everybody felt weird hearing it. Anyway, I'm Jeni.
Hi, I'm Tressa.
Tressa. We're not actually going to talk about sharks, although I am pushing for a shark-based episode.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I am going to need some support. That
Yeah,
one.
everybody write in on that one.
Everyone demand sharks.
Don't do that. Please don't
Please
do that.
Do it.
Don't.
We all want to hear a little bit something about the sharks. That's it.
Hey, Jeni, you know what I did over the weekend?
What did you do?
I was, strolling around the neighborhood, and I popped over to Vinton, Iowa, and I heard a little ghosty tale. Went on a little ghosty hunt, and I got to hear a really cool EVP after it happened. It was pretty neat. Well, I heard a lot, actually, but...
Yeah, that sounds pretty neat.
Yeah.
All right.
He did not care for that situation.
He did not care for the what?
Situation.
Oh,
Anyway.
the ghost or
Yes, the ghost.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel about being bothered in the afterlife.
Just let him rest. I
maybe.
guess
I got other stuff to do other than amuse people. Anyway, you know what we're doing next week? We're going to Michigan.
Why?
Because there's a really big paranormal conference there.
Is that so?
That is so. So we will be heading up there. Very excited about that. We're hoping that somebody comes up and says, "Hey guys, your show is great."
Yeah,
So
you
do that
should.
too.
We should probably wear shirts so people can recognize us.
You should
I mean, shirts
wear
with our
shirts
logo
anyway,
on
but
them, not
yes,
just shirts in
yeah,
general.
yeah.
We will be wearing shirts regardless.
Listen, I think that people should also come up and ask us to tell them a little something about sharks.
Well, that's okay. I can't wait to heckle Greg is what I can't wait.
So we're going to be in Sault Ste. Marie, I believe. That is where it is.
I don't know how to say it, but okay.
Yeah, I kind of just sped right through that because I don't really know either. Mm-hmm. One would have thought I would have figured it out, but nope, not what I'm doing.
Not us, ladies.
I also have another feeling that we are going to learn some new stuff tonight.
Oh, I bet we will.
We will, because our guest is pretty neato and is going to teach us some things that, yet again, I know very little about. Zenka Caro is the founder of LightNet, a collective intelligence think tank centered around consciousness. She is a pioneer in mind over matter consciousness research. She is an expert in spoon bending. Yes, please. Sign me up for that. And electromagnetic radio contact with ETs and past loved ones. Now, listen, I'm real excited about this ham radio thing. First up, walkie talkies, which I already have.
I know.
And next up, ham radio.
The third stop, the world.
The world. You'll be hearing me all of the time if you also have a ham radio. She is very passionate about blending science and spirituality and has been working in frontier technology for over 20 years, running software development companies and working in augmented reality. Just those words confuse me. She loves strategic planning for our best future and is an inspirational speaker on the TEDx stage and beyond. Will you please help me welcome Zenka?
Okay.
Yay!
Hello!
I have to say I loved your intro. Watching all those pictures has made me so happy. I was in a moment of bliss.
I love that new intro.
So fun. I do too. We have fun. We have fun most of the time.
I think that's actually what's going to happen. Like, we're going to have all these people that are the wrong sizes, the wrong colors. Like, it's just going to be this nice little renaissance of
Hybrids of all different shapes and sizes.
Yes. I like it. All right. So the first thing that I have to ask is this idea of making music with ETs. What's happening here?
that is called bold, unbridled, daring, like collaboration, I guess you could say. We try to get together in groups of 8 people to do impossible things, and the we try to do new things every time we get together. So we have these teams, and we started to do radio research with the ham radios. And Jimmy Blanchett started this, and we set up all our radios, and it was really cool. And we got everyone to get sounds on the radios. Now, you may not know, but Lynn McTaggart has done a lot of research that states that if you get 8 people together with a similar intention, you can bend reality.
Just 8.
You can do it with one, but something about multiple people all requesting for contact or bending spoons. In spoon bending, we do 15 people. But so you almost have like, so she does miracle healings. I was in Spain at a conference this year where she gave a keynote, and then she wanted to do an experiential, obviously. And she's like, okay, everyone get in your chairs and pull together in a group of 8 and put the person in your group that needs the most healing in the middle. And in our group, this chick, she was on crutches. She couldn't even get to the middle because she couldn't even move 2 chairs over in the theater. Crutches everywhere. I mean, she had 7 screws in her ankle.
Oh.
6 minutes later, she dropped the crutches and walked across the theater.
What?
We imagined her well and just imagined her awesome, and she just sat there and received. I mean, so you can get to a very extreme reality bend when you get
When you have, a lot of people focusing
in it too. Not the person next to you skeptic. I mean, I don't really know how it works. I actually think that beings get called in and they're like, all right, let's take care of this. You know what I mean? Or I don't really know what happens, but basically we were intrigued by this whole concept, and she's written books and she does it all over the world with millions of people. And we were like, oh, well, let's do ET contact in groups of 8, and let's do all sorts of stuff. Let's do remote viewing. We had channeling teams, light language teams, and we wanted to study if we could do it. And sure enough, all the people in our teams, we had 96% success with people who never made ET contact, to whether it was seeing a ship or getting the radio to go.
Okay. I was going to ask, how do you distinguish ET contact between something else?
Right. Well, so we ask these silly questions because we're so confused in general about what's going on. We're like, is ET contact gonna happen? And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm an ET. Of course it happened. I'm here. You're like, oh, is this my dead grandmother or is it an ET? In fact, your grandmother may be an ET when she's not dressed as a human. I mean, who knows, right? This is where it just gets you're like, wait a minute. But we asked the same exact question you did, Jeni. We were like, wait a minute, are we talking to ghosts that are in, Bardo or whatever, or are we talking to an alien? And so we would straight up ask them. So we had this guy, okay, so getting back to the music and ET question.
Yeah.
So every team, I'm like a person that does not like to be bored. So I do not like to repeat research that's already done for the sake of someone else. I'm just like, no, we're moving on, the radio's working. The second team, this guy was like, I want them to send us pictures. And I was like, oh. So we figured out how to jack this antenna into our computers and use software-defined radio where we were actually watching the signals go through.
Oh.
Sent pictures down the 144 line, which was what we were using on the radio. We were blown away.
Okay, now was it selfies, aliens just being peace?
It was okay, so you could scan the whole bandwidth, right? and you can tune it, right? And so we would well, actually, with a signal defined radio, you're just looking, you're looking, you can look at 89.9 and listen to radio or whatever. So we're looking right around 144. And all of a sudden, there was a mirror image that would go, and it looked, we called it a totem, because you could see different faces and different things that would just mirror. And the guy was like, I wonder if this is the line between quantum and like the material world. Like, I mean, we were just blown away. And I think the US government, one of the guys in our team was a 20-year-old retired US government signal like ratio guy for the CIA. Like, he'd worked in radio, and he wasn't allowed to research aliens because he was like, you have to report everything you do. Like, he couldn't, like, I don't think he could really go to ET conferences. I guess he could, but he wasn't put on any of the ET research, because once you say that you're biased in the CIA, you get pulled off everything, because they need you to be like really, I guess like non-biased, right?
Yeah.
So his team was like, I'm the manager of all these people, and they're getting to visit, Roswell and like whatever, But he was so retired. But anyway, he was like, by the way, and on this subject was quite interesting what he told me. He's like, I saw more ET enthusiasts in the CIA than I did. Like, he's like, the biggest populations that are into UFOs are the UFO conference people and the CIA. So it's almost like they went in there to try to learn about UFOs, because because you know what I mean? They didn't publish the results, the data. So it's very interesting. He was a very kind, sweet man, very gentle, very loving, very conscious. And then I think he took the research that we did in this small group of citizen scientists back to them. And I think they started researching it too, because that's the thing. Like, he was like, Zenka, this amount, like what we're researching with these radio signals would have taken $200,000 of racked equipment when I was in the CIA 20 years ago. And he's like, now it's $59 on Amazon, and we're jacking it in, and we're like, oh my God, they would spend us they would spend us like these spikes. Oh, look, they're talking. Oh, it said no though, but I don't know. Maybe it wasn't 20 years ago that was 200,000. I don't know what they're saying no to. So these guys, I met this couple that was like this punked out couple. They had this like huge mohawk, and I had a party in Sedona. And I was like, you guys, I asked the radios yes or no questions in the park the other day. And I straight up asked them, Jeni, like your question. I was like, okay, give me 2 beeps if you're Arcturian, 3 beeps if you're Syrian, 5 beeps and they started doing the exact number of beeps. And this was where I started to develop a complex code, not a complex code, a code with them. So, and then these punk guys, Area 1358, I think they were called, they were like, let's do it. I was like, come over, let's talk to them. And sure enough, we got them to have a 20-minute conversation with us on the radio. Now because we're nonprofit, we just spread the data everywhere. And now a lot of people are asking yes, no questions. So you get 1 beep is yes, 2 beeps is no. 3 beeps is where they're like, I want to like ask another question or ask me a question. And 4 beeps is when they get really excited and they're clapping. Anyway, so the third team, so we done pictures, we done the radios. The third team, this girl's like, oh yeah, let's get them to use their voices through the radio. And I was like, oh my God, okay. It's like that scary excitement. You're like, oh my God, is this going to work? But then we did it. And I was in Conscious Life Expo giving a talk about this. And I was like, everyone go into your hearts. Like, what do you actually want to happen? And I'm thinking in my mind, because I just done a day before, like our second or third team meeting, and no voices had come. I was like, I want the voices to come. And during the talk, the voices came through for the first time in the radios. And everyone was like, what was that?
All right. What did they sound like though? Like what is I think that's the obvious question is what.
So this is what ended up happening. So then I get back from California, and the girl in my class that was a channel, she calls me. She's like, "Oh my God, Zenka, I heard a voice through my radio, and it sounded like," she said, "it sounded like my voice, not mine, Zenka, her voice." And I was like, "Oh my God!" And
Oh, that's a weird layer.
Yeah, I
and
don't know how I feel about
freaked
I
that.
don't
out.
like that at all.
She freaked out so hard that helicopters, military helicopters, started appearing in Sedona. I was like, "Dude, stop this. No." I was like, "No, get your paranoia in check. Like, this is not my movie. I'm not doing this because I don't do paranoia. I don't do drama. I do what I want. I think what I want. I am who I am. I am, I don't do the like conspiracy, like, I don't do that because
Yeah.
we have to break from that." So I was like, "Get a hold of yourself, like, don't do this. And she's like, "Okay, okay." But the thing is that, Bashar or Daryl Enka, he channels Bashar, which I believe he says is a future version of himself. But there's a lot of channelers like Liza Priest, for example. I think she does it too. So there's this. I don't know. I
Is
don't
the
know.
future self that they channel, is that like their higher self? Is that like the same thing?
Yeah,
Mm.
I think so. And I think, but anyway, this is not my future self coming through this radio, nor is this. Like, I have these all labeled. I have 23 radios, and I should label them, one of them, my higher self. But anyway, we're all one thing anyway. So I'm not really myself. I'm you, you're me. I mean, we are one kind of organism. It's hard to think that way, but it's actually true. So it's actually like, but anyway, that's kind of beside the point, but it's good to mention. So we get to the fourth season, and we're like, let's make music with ETs because it would be much more less logical, less like they could communicate a lot through music.
I can't wait to hear all about this music right after this break.
Okay.
Hey, boys and ghouls, Neil here from Graveside Paranormal Ghost Tours. Join us on October 26th in Watseka, Illinois for the seance at the Roth House, known for the story The Watseka Wonder, the first documented possession in America, or was it a spiritual miracle? In the end, you decide. We're going to be having ghost tours throughout the house every hour on the hour from 1 p.m. to about 2 o'clock in the morning. We are going to have vendors. We're going to have speakers. Mr. Dave Schrader himself of the Paranormal 60 podcast, as well as the Holzer Files, will be your MC for the day. Miss Diet Renee will also be out there doing the seance at 7:30 at night. And guess what, girls and boys? We are also going to be filming a documentary, so each and every one of you can be part of this unique experience. So go to gravesideparanormal.com to further details about our event, or on Facebook, and go to Eventbrite at The Seance at the Roth House. So grab your holy water, call your mama, and boom.
You know what, Jenny? Another opportunity to meet us.
Yep, absolutely. I love Neil. He's so nice.
He's such a nice guy.
Such a nice guy. Listen, back to the music, and then I want to know who like called over a ship too, because I feel like that might have been a thing.
Oh yeah, that's not a problem. That's actually how a lot of the original radio research worked with Jimmy Blanchett, because what he would do is he would take a picture, and he'd be like, "Hello, Andromedan Council," or whoever he wanted to thing, and he's like, "If it's safe and appropriate, show your ships at latitude da da da, longitude this at 9 o'clock on this day." And then you can convert an image into a sound, and he'd throw that up on the radio, and they would show up.
All right, how are you not doing that all day long
Yeah.
every day? Like,
I would do
listen,
nothing
I'm gonna
else.
need you to meet me at the DQ. I got a bet going on, and I can win some ice cream.
And I will get you a blizzard.
Have you got a blizzard? It's delightful.
Yeah. So, but in Sedona, you can see ships like every night of the day with your naked eye. It's like not a thing here. Like it's it's
You're like,
not.
ugh, that again.
But well, and it is weird and dimensional, because the radios, I can confirm without, I mean, I've been doing this research for over 4 years. I can confirm without a doubt that the ETs can see you right now. Like they can, I mean, we think of them as like, oh, they're in the ship way up there. No, they're also here, and they can see you and they have telepathy.
Telepathy.
I can't even talk. I was like, telepathy with you. So it's very, we have this like dimensional crisis where we know nothing about how dimensions work. And yet there's some sort of like weird overlapping situation where our perception with our brain and the way that the wavelengths that it's on. I mean, there's some people that believe that you can't even see ETs face to face unless you're in theta brainwave, which is like what you would do playing jazz or playing music or what, what I mean? So it's like, not only can our eyes see limited things, but our brains are just not like open and like set up correctly to see them when they're right here, but they are here with us. We did a remote viewing team today with Alan Steinfeld, and we basically went above a cathedral rock to see all of the teams. So we had 9 people all remote viewing at the same time and comparing notes, and there was a ship there, and they were like, we're always here. We're not here sometimes. We're just here. Our thing is here. So it's all of, this paranormal stuff just gets more interesting as we start to compare notes, we start to measure all this stuff. Because now we can actually, we actually use sometimes head devices to actually put our brains in theta, to bathe it in electromagnetic field so that so and you can do that also by like humming. Like I know Mark Sims used to like hum because it gets you out of your logical mind. You are not bending a spoon if you're in your thinking mind, period. The way that we do that, by the way, is cause a massive amount of chaos. So we're like jumping up, like, oh my God, I'm at my spoon. This is so crazy. Oh my gosh, look at this. Blah, blah, blah. And people just like their brain shuts off because you're just like, oh my God, overload, input overload. You stop even being able to, you can't concentrate. You can't do anything because it's just like too much. And then you bend your spoon because you're not thinking about it.
So the music with that is vibrational on certain levels. Is that, you mentioned somebody humming.
No. Okay. So back to the music. So the music team on the radio team was the most successful and interesting team we ever had. And we were like, let's play music with ETs, right? So silence for the first 2 weeks. The ETs were like, okay, you also need to tune in to us because we're subtle, right? You need to link with us. And then they were like, oh yeah, you guys need to sing to us. So you had a bunch of scientists, channelers, artists.
Did you guys hear that? Listen, I gotta point it out when I hear it now. Did you hear anything in your headphones,
It was
Jeni?
the thing, wasn't it? Yeah, I just breezed right past it because we were talking about the music. All right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right.
I didn't
Continue
mean to
on.
interrupt you.
So then we got all these instruments. Here's one of them. It just made a noise just because I touched it. It's not because it's someone's here or something. But so we got ghost type of machines. And of course, like, how you just get called, like when you do something, it's like people get attracted to a certain thing, like they're getting attracted into your podcast. Well, we attracted some very interesting people into our music class. One woman was like a singer. This other guy happened to be an app developer. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll write you some apps. So he created an entirely, like, this is an app of all these different alien crop circles. And the aliens would play this, and he put a human right here. And we're like, oh, I wonder if they could pick out the human. And they did. So you leave this on a table. Nobody's touching it. You calibrate it. And literally it would go there. And this also makes it makes noise. So they played music, and they would play with the radios. They'd go nuts on the radios. Then they would do this other thing where they were actually playing piano and rock guitar. It sounded horrible, by the way. They were as bad as us on music.
Everyone's a critic. What are you gonna
All
do?
right.
Way, like it was really delightful. It was the cultural, like, you know, and we have music, we have the music, we cut music videos which we put up on our YouTube at our Lightnet. So we went crazy with it. And then we would do conferences around that concept and just get a bunch of people in a room and be like, all right, we're doing this. And, they would come and play,
Yeah.
pretty
Huh.
fun. It's fun. It's fun to get away with fun stuff by collaborating, because I think they want to collaborate with us. We just we don't give them permission. Like, we call this a permission portal. It's like saying, yes, you can communicate with me. Now, they use my lights in my house too. Like, they'll go up and down, they'll answer yes, no questions with the light on my porch. And it's so delightful because I feel like we've done the frontier. Like, we've pretty much done the ocean. We can't, like, everyday people can't go in spaceships yet. So it's like, why don't we surf the frontier, which is dimensional frontier, and why don't we get physical proof? Sounds, lights going off and on, and why don't we engage in curiosity, because they have a different point of view, they have a different vantage point, and it's just fun. It's like meeting someone from Morocco. You're like, what do you guys eat? Like, what do you do? Like, where do you sleep? It's like excites me to talk to them about where we've never gone.
Right.
Absolutely.
So what is the point? And maybe you've already said it, but maybe I just didn't pick it up. But of how many radios are in use? Like you said, you have 23 radios going at all time. Are these picking up? I mean, what's your theory behind that? Like, is it picking up different entities or aliens? Like, and they're all just sort of chatting at you at the same, like it's a conference call?
Yeah. So what is so remarkable about this research, and which was why I even got interested in it in the first place, is that these are breaking the laws of physics. So if you go, let's see, these are miscalibrated, but if you go hello, 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 you can see that these are going on both. I don't know if you can hear that, but anyway, when I talk in one of them, they go through all the 23 radios. But I'm going to turn this off because it's picking up the radio signal, so it's making noise. It's not actually an ET right now. But so what's crazy about this is that they will isolate and just talk on one. So this one will be like beep, 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 beep. This is silent. This is silent.
Oh.
So it's impossible. It's impossible, because you would get, if I go hello, it goes hello. They're on the same channel.
Right.
They're all on 144, 101. So the ETs are using this in a totally different way. They're not using electromagnetic waves. They're jacking into the circuitry of the device to communicate with you directly, because you've given them permission to pierce the veil and have a conversation at your request. Right? So, and that's the theory that Jimmy Planchet has, who studied this. That's also the other researchers and me, who've also been researching for 4 years. We put them in Faraday cages and block them from all electromagnetic, receiving, and they're still making noise. So this is a true phenomenon of paranormal contact. And it's possible with $50 on Amazon. You just order this, Baofeng radios. You need to have a ham radio license if you're going to be talking. But if you're just going to be listening, I do have a license, but you can get a license. I encourage you to do that, to be legal. But it's interesting, right? That we just can do this with simple tools, and you can ask for contact in your dreams, and you can ask it when you automatic write, and you can ask it. You don't have to have technology, but it's kind of fun because it's very concrete.
Yeah, sure. Especially if you're getting something like a response on one radio out of 23. Like that's wild. And that makes me think of the whole, all of the stories of them shutting down nuclear
mhm.
plants and, getting into the electronics of those things somehow, some way. So
I
I'm
hadn't
just
thought about that. That's totally related. They can totally do that.
yeah, like that's been, what was it? A place that we just talked about too.
Was it in the gorge?
It was probably in the gorge because the gorge
Yeah.
is great, but Columbia River Gorge, we like it. Shout out.
Yeah, lots of nuclear stuff going on, and then they're just like shut down.
Yeah, it was like yeah, close to Hanford or something. Um, okay, now this is where I probably show a lot of ignorance, but you keep saying a very specific number, 144, right? Someone explain that to me real quick.
So it's in the Bible and a bunch of different texts, and it's got a lot of lore behind it. 144.
Okay.
But it's also, if you multiply 12 by 12, it's a very sacred number. And nobody knows if there's 144,000 players in this hologram or whether it's, 144,000 have to wake up in order to go to, I don't know what 144,000 is, but it's sacred text. It's a big
Okay.
number. And this was channeled by Jimmy Blanchett because he looked at the pyramids and he actually divided 432, which is the frequency of the earth, by Planck length and got this number. So it's like it was meaningful to him. And at first he didn't even tell anyone the number. It was just me and Mark Sims and him going like, and a few others just really researching like, what is this? And then he decided to just go open with it and tell everyone the frequency. And I haven't done too much experimentation, but we have had people go on other channels and get a response. So it's really more your permission. I mean, they don't like to go turning off the nuclear power plant. They don't want to interfere like that. They're not here to, do that, save us. But I think at this point, if you really sincerely ask in your heart of hearts, you can have anything, but you can certainly have ET contact or contact with your past loved one. It's just a matter of being sincere about it. As with anything, you can actually experience anything you actually want in this reality,
Mhm.
as long as it's coming from your heart and you allow yourself to receive that reality, which is easier said than done because
Yeah.
we're like so damaged and blocking and like all this like confusion over our worth and our rights and our this and our that to experience things. But I mean, at LikeNet, we're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible to experience. So we have a levitation lab where we're interviewing people that are levitated,
Hmm.
a paralysis lab where we're interviewing people that got out of their wheelchair. We've got the spoon bending lab, so it's like, well, is reality limited? Like, did they put a black box and they taped off a certain, section? Like, okay, you guys play in this playground, but don't go over here. But I don't even think that's true. Like if everyone woke up tomorrow and they're like, let's levitate, and we didn't think it was impossible, we probably could and would, and we will actually. But it's interesting how we have to really unpack, unlearn, reprogram, rethink about what's possible in our own lives. And it's a journey. It's been a journey for me to try to live my dreams.
For sure. And I feel like that pops up a lot of times in people that we talk to here is, altering your mindset and certainly your intent behind what you're doing. And when you're out looking for whatever it is that you're looking for and
Intention.
changing your vibrations and all of those things, right? Like, so the more that we sort of talk in between each paranormal level, I suppose, like the commonalities just become a little bit clearer and clearer, which is what you were saying earlier with sharing all of the research and whatnot. Now, here's another question that immediately popped out to me. What does bending spoons have to do with UFOs?
Jenny, I'd love to hear all about that right after this break.
Perfect.
Hey, Tressa.
Hey, Jeni.
Oh, I'm just reading my own book by international TV sensation, Dave Schrader.
I'm reading the book too. I don't remember the name of it or who wrote it, but yeah.
Say, I like your shirt.
Thank you. I got it on monstersloungepodcast.com. You've got a great shirt too.
Oh, this? That's so weird. I got it at monstersloungepodcast.com too. They have really great stuff. A whole variety.
I know, right? They have everything. Shirts, tote bags, clutches, a phone case. I think it's the best.
monstersloungepodcast.com.
Boy, I tell you what.
I love it. I love it. That's so great.
Listen, nothing but high quality video over here.
High quality. High quality.
So your question is quite interesting because I've been scratching my head too. So
Perfect. End of show.
we do worm forming, which is where you're actually, it's kindergarten bending, where you're actually bending it. I can't bend it right now because we're not bending right now, but basically it gets hard. But basically that's kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing we do this online once a month. It's a trip. And then this is the next version, which is you bending the buckle, right? That's almost impossible to do with your physical force. And then we do bending without touching. And that is where you're just like this, and it starts, you can kind of see it starts to warp. And we then sprout seeds in our hand. But check this out. So every time, this guy asked me out, and our second date, we go to a restaurant, and I open up this napkin, and one of these forks was just completely tweaked, like totally bent. And I was like, huh. And then now, every single time we go to a restaurant, the fork is bent. I mean, it is hysterical. It's like, oh my God. And so I was on a contact retreat, like a silent retreat, and I was like, and we also do kind of like miracle healings, him and I was like, I asked the ETs, I was like, are you guys bending the forks? And they were like, yeah. And I was on the radio, so they were like, yeah. And I was like, do you guys do that miracle healings? And they were like, no. So I don't know how that works or whatever, but so yeah, it could be that I'm not doing anything, that I have cool friends. I
do really enjoy the bent fork as the new flower waiting for you. That's kind of nice. That's real sweet.
So
That's like
romantic.
have a good time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy your steak.
Yeah.
Whichever.
Yeah. And one time we went to this fancy restaurant to celebrate. And when I see checkerboards, it means dream whatever you want into reality for me. So I see checkerboard and I'm like, okay, it's reminding me that this is all kind of an illusion. It's all a kind of a dream. And that like in Photoshop, it's black and white.
Yeah.
It's sort of like nothing's here. What did you want to go there? And so we go to this restaurant, and I'd been there before, and all of a sudden it was these things, and both of our forks were completely bent. And sometimes it's so bad you can't even enjoy your meal because you're like, this feels weird on my tooth, you know what I mean? And then yeah. So it's
all right.
It's true.
But, all right, so it's kind of linked. We feel like it's probably linked to the ETs in the fact that they're bending them, but outside of that, no real reason why. Do you think
that's true of everyone, or is it just your buddies helping you out?
Buddies. I mean, and this is just a recent conclusion. So I don't know. I mean, remember, what you believe is what is. So if I find it easier because we've been told that it's impossible to bend, I mean, we've seen spoons go completely over by children. So it's like, if you need, we call this hocus pocus. So if you need to say that an ET helped you bend it because your brain can't really you can't really wrap your brain around the fact that you could do something like that, then that's what it is. If you think you need to, meditate for 5 hours before you bend the spoon, then you probably do, because that's what you've created as your permission or your belief around it. So can people bend spoons without touching, without ETs? Totally. You know what I mean? Can I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's interesting, because you kind of have to trick your mind into doing some of these impossible things until you can start to get used to the fact that we have way more freedom to create things in our life than we ever dreamed. This is a conversation with consciousness that we're having. It's a learning. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to evolve. And so, yeah, we're creating all the time.
I love that using meditation, whatever your tool is of choice,
Yeah.
those are just your training wheels.
Yeah.
Then you can take them off eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe. I like that. I like that a lot. Now, you've mapped over 11,000 contact experiencers, right? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, just people who have used radios to somehow make contact with ETs? Or are you talking just kind of across the board, anybody that you hear about having a UFO experience or anything like that?
Yeah, so we are sort of, because we're a nonprofit, we're sort of like, let's tell the actual story of what's actually happening. Even if the government's not really admitting it, like, it's actually happening all the time with so many people. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And there's actual, experience reports that are leaving. So one of the things we do is, in LightNet, we take 100 people at a time and we study how they do impossible things. So whether it's finding their purpose or getting off drugs or making contact or bending a spoon, whatever, right? That's our model, is we say there's got to be a pattern. For spoon bending, it's getting out of your head. For addiction, it's often finding a relationship that you actually want to be in that won't allow that. Or, there's all these different things that work for different things. But in terms of the 11,000 number, we actually looked at data. We're data scientists too, right? So we looked at data from contact reports. We'd collected over like 6,000. And then we also looked at what MUFON and other organizations around the world were getting, to try to see what the pattern was. And it's weird, because the pattern is, people do it in their dreams, but they also do it in the physical. Seeing physical craft is the highest ratio, like is where it occurs most, or at least where it was reported most. So again, one of the things we're really passionate about right now is helping people find their purpose and their mission and their calling and their joy in life, because according to the numbers, only 10% of the world know why they're here. Now, we also believe that and 5% are living it. So we believe when you're living it, magic actually unfolds in front of you. So when you're actually living why you're here, you've gotten over all the BS of like, this, I should do this, I should do that, when you get out of the should, like, you guys have a quality about you that's like, I don't care, I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't care, I do what I want. That's what we have to get the world into, because that authenticity is total freedom. That is like what we all always want. We want freedom to be ourselves, right? And I think, so we're really excited to be studying that right now. So we interviewed 100 people on how they found their purpose. And what the number one thing was, that was the pattern: courage.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's like, if you have a courage to try to go, bend a spoon, it will evolve into other things. And, Adham, who's one of our coaches at LightNet, where we coach people through these things, he says, like, courage is how you decide to show up despite your fear. So even if the fear doesn't go away, like, are you willing to do your first podcast where you're like, I don't know if this is going to be even working. Like, I mean, is this going to be good? You just get over your courage and then you build and build and build. So I think getting out of your comfort zone is something we hope to instill in everyone that's listening tonight. And even if you don't know your purpose, and we do these groups of 8 again, because we feel like, okay, if we can see a ship, then we should be able to help people find their purpose in 8 weeks too. So this is the experiment we're now currently doing in October, saying like, okay, we get 8 people together and we have all these methods that are the most successful. If we run through them, what's going to be our success? Like the contact lab was 96%. I mean, I'm assuming we can get the same.
It seems easier. Come on, it's right there in your head. It's got to be easier, right? Tell me it's easier.
Oh no, she's having a crisis right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that a lot, and that's kind of the undercurrent of a lot of different things, right? Walking with fear and doing the things that you need to do anyway, starting off your journey with a single decision to move forward, and the rest sort of falls into place.
Or you make it.
Or you make it, or it evolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that being free and doing what you want to do is actually the thing that makes it worth it. It's just like being in love. You're like, all right, I'll just do it. Like I'll just go there, like, or whatever, because you're so in love. You're just like, all right, you get out of your comfort zone. And that's the same thing with purpose. If you can get more clear on what makes you tick, and then we believe that something odd happens with consciousness, because we believe that your heart actually goes into an implosive field and actually creates synchronicities that drive these. Joseph Campbell said, like, if you find your purpose and passion, doors will open where there were only walls. Like, these things start to happen in your life and you're like, how did that even happen? Like, almost beyond your wildest dreams. And it's because you're on the right path. It's because you're here for a reason. You decided to come here for a reason. Dying without knowing what makes you like light up is that's what they say. The biggest regret people have in their deathbed is not doing what they wanted to do, to being like kowtowing to society. Of what they thought they should do or whatever. So I just love your MO, you guys. Again, I just want to compliment you, because
Thank you.
the attitude's so important. It's freeing and it's attractive, and it's like, it's cool. It's sexy. It's like, yeah, this is me. I like this. We're going here. We're doing this. Like, this is what we're doing. I don't care what you like, or if you like that we're doing it or not.
You have no idea how hard I'm holding back on doing a whole screed against capitalism right now.
She's losing her mind. Have you seen her over here? Like, she's bopping around in her chair. Like, everything that you're saying is hitting her in all of the spots that
my
she
brain
would now
feel
like to talk.
It's massaged right now. Thank you. Everything I needed to hear. I just need that clue. Just give me that theory, the formula to find my perfect purpose, and we are good.
Yeah. Side note, she does not like to work.
No, I do not.
So if it could be a purpose without work.
Well, that's one of the definitions of purpose. Like, it should not feel like work. I mean, I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning, and I've been like, go, go, go all day. But it's also like, this isn't work to me. Like, I love what I'm studying how people do impossible things. It's like, how is it paid for this? Like, what are you talking about? Like, so there is something there for you. And that's the way you will create the opportunity once you have the balls to actually walk toward that thing. And everybody's different, like, people's purposes are so different. Some, it's just like, I want to feed people with love. I want to give my love out. I want to concretize my love in the way I prepare these meals for someone I love, and I want them to feel love, and I want to show my love in this way. And that is super awesome. You know what I mean? So there's all sorts of ways that you can be in your gift, whatever that is. And we're all kind of needed at this point. It's like, we're all needed. And when you actually are in the rightness of who you are, like I said, opportunities that you didn't think might happen logically will start to happen, and your frequency is actually higher because you're not cringing through your day energetically doing shit you don't want to be doing. That's
Just to
not good.
survive.
Even making food where you're just like, right, don't want to be like, that is actually not
Every
good
time.
for the person you're giving it to, or what, just as an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to stay in check with you, and yeah.
Imagine if they taught children to do this, to find their purpose before they went and got their education and didn't just like do whatever they thought they were supposed to do. That would be amazing. That would revolutionize the entire planet.
Yeah.
Let's get this done, guys. Let's go.
But then on the other side, do you have enough of the experiences to actually figure out what your purpose is until you've been through
Your
some
purpose
stuff?
is already done before you get here. You already know your purpose before you get here. You just haven't tapped it.
That's a noise I make when I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, because you don't know.
I think I have to kind of agree with Tressa because there's
See, Jeni?
something innate.
That means nothing.
It's good to dabble around if you don't know. It's good to dabble around and be like, okay. And it's not to say that there's not going to be hard parts in doing what you like to do. Like maybe you love podcasting, but you hate editing, or that part's hard. But at some point, right, that becomes doable because you're so excited about the whole process in general and meeting people at your conferences and people are like, that's Monster Lounge or whatever, you know what I mean? Like it all kind of makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're in a flow state is where it's actually a little bit hard and something you love doing. So if it was just like super easy or just like press the button and you can make your podcast awesome, you might lose interest, what I mean, over time. So there needs to be a slight challenge, but not overwhelmingly challenging that you're just like, this is terrible, right? So you want that flow. And once you're in flow, your intelligence comes through. And that's what I think Tressa's saying is like, there's something deep within you that knows. I mean,
listen, I'm just laughing at the face that she's making, which is, I told you so.
Yep.
What if you love podcasting, but occasionally you get irritated at your co-host?
Who would do that? I don't know what you're
don't
talking
know.
about.
I don't
That's
know.
weird. Weird you would even say something like that. That never
It's
happens.
so weird. I never.
But here's another thing that's weird is like, if you look, there's a lot of different tools we use. And I was not into astrology at all. Like, I'm like, whatever, no. And this girl was like, oh yeah, your North Node is Capricorn. And for you, you must learn to make money and provide and like whatever. I was like, no, man, I'm doing nonprofit. Like, what are you talking about? Run the other way. And she's like, no, that's your evolutionary curve. And she's like, you're more comfortable in your South Node because that's what you know. That's what you've all known in your past life and whatever. But you're supposed to go and do the money thing. And I'm like, are you serious? And I'm like, okay, game on. Like, I'll try. I'm going to face my evolution. And once you face your evolution, your North Node, you are basically unlocking all the power of your evolution. It's like once you kind of slightly get it, they give it to you. Like they're like, all right, you did this, boom, and it becomes a source of power for you that is helpful to other people, right? Because if you've figured out what is powerful about yourself or what you're good at or what you can give, it's cool. It's cool for everyone, right? So
Heck yeah.
It's hard. It's not easy. It's a journey. But once you get it, it's like the confetti comes down from the ceiling and you're like, cool. And your purpose can change. Your purpose can change in 3 years to do something else, but it's when you feel it, when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you feel it. It feels good.
Yeah, it
It's like
resonates with your soul.
Right. It's like your eyes are open for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I
Man.
have no idea.
Guys, we have really gone on a journey tonight. I'm gonna
Oh
throw
my
that
God.
out there.
Yes, listen, we got to wrap up. Please plug everything that you have to plug.
Yes, please.
So the Purpose Lab is actually through Holo Movement, which is a global consciousness organization. You can find out about that Holo Movement, HOLO movement.net/purpose. And we have a podcast going on that. It's really fun. That's where you can find out about that. If you want to do spoon bending, just go to Starseed Academy or LightNet. We've got one on the 24th. You can sign up for one or just do it the whole year and become a member and whatever. So we'd love to see you. It's a lot of fun.
Fantastic. And as always, we will
Awesome.
have all those links in the show notes and the show notes. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, have fun at your conference. You guys have great personalities.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This has been a real pleasure.
It really has.
I
It
can't
really
wait
has.
to go check out everything and bug Jeni with all my new knowledge. Then she'll be like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'll be like, I probably
No,
don't. I probably
I
read it
do.
wrong. I don't know how to read very well.
Listen,
And
listen to you all the time. I'm going to say listen 15 more times until you understand
I won't.
that I hear you and I take it in and I say on occasion, Tressa, you know what? You're right. Actually,
don't
that's about half
remember-
of the time.
I don't
I'm
remember
going to
that
start writing
happening.
these things down.
Yeah.
I enjoyed all of your enthusiasm. It is incredibly infectious, and I really like the turn and the journey that this
Yes.
episode took.
Yes, it was so
really
fun.
well.
You'll
Yeah.
have to come back and tell us more. Once you find out that whole formula, you have to give us the formula on the show.
And apports and Sasquatch I can tell you about too, which I've had some
What are we doing here?
We had to get the introductory stuff out of the way, then we get into the good stuff with Bigfoot.
Yeah, so next time,
Yeah.
write that down, Jeni.
I will.
Everybody else! Don't forget to find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the Paranormal 60 Network. Like, comment, subscribe, and check out our merch on our website, monstersloungepodcast.com. Send us an email or comment. We love hearing from people. So until next time, thanks for visiting the Monsters Lounge. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Find the button.